When you're planning a broiler unit, every detail matters. Bird welfare, ventilation, efficiency, biosecurity, and long-term value. That's where Jake's comes in. With over 40 years poultry construction experience, Jake's designs and builds high-quality broiler housing tailored to your farm, your integrator's requirements, and the systems you need. From feeders and drinkers to ventilation, lighting, and service control rooms. Choose functional, cost-effective buildings built with durability, efficiency, and sustainability in mind. Jake's Broiler Housing, designed and built to last. Visit jakesint.com, that's spelt JAQUESINT.com, or call 015 68 708 644.
Hello and welcome back to the Poultry Network podcast. I'm Tom Woolman.
And I'm Tom Willings.
Hello, Tom.
How are you keeping? Morning
all
after
right.
the night before, as they say.
Yes. Have you fully recovered yet?
No.
Have you had your infusion this morning?
Infusion, transfusion. I don't know what I need, but I definitely need something intravenous. I'm exhausted. Of course, we're talking about pig and poultry, aren't we? We've had two days of walking the boards at the NEC, including even recording a podcast. If you haven't listened to that, then probably best that you don't. At least is my recollection.
It was a good podcast, and all I can say is it was wonderful to meet you in person. Hopefully I'll do so again at some point.
I was delighted. I think my colleagues on the egg-based stand were irritated beyond belief, but I was thrilled with the number of people who were so generous in coming by and shaking hands, and I'm sure they weren't sort of just laughing at me, but more smiling with me in saying, enjoying the podcast and keep it going. I think it's definitely buoyed my appetite to make this work. So please do. No. I know we've said it before, but get involved. Come on, get in touch with us. Get involved and don't be scared. Come and talk to us.
Absolutely. I'm quite buoyant as well because I've dropped my children off this morning on a school trip, and they're spending the whole day at a local farm where they're going to be making ice cream, and I'd send them in with some money to buy their ice cream at the end.
Right. Have you sent them with a cool box or some way of getting it home?
I don't think there's any chance that it's going to come home. I think it's going to come home all over their faces. Probably I think they get to eat it, and I'm looking forward to that. It's always it's nice to do a visit to a farm, but when they're going to a farm for a whole day, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, spot on.
So
what are we talking about today then? No, me or you? Go on. I'll explain to people. We are joined today by a fantastic advocate for the independent broiler sector, a lady by the name of Claire Wright. Tom, you're going to do the proper intro for Claire, but Soanes Broilers or Soanes Poultry rather, and Clive Soanes Broilers is a business, as we're about to hear, very much punching above their weight.
And it's great to speak to someone that's involved in day-to-day chicken farming. And I'm thinking she's the second person that we've had on from Yorkshire. Of course, we had Paul Flintoff on a few weeks ago as well. So if anyone from Lancashire is listening to this and wants to come on, then feel free to get in touch and we'll make it happen.
I'm going to tell you a little story about Soanes because I went to the butcher 8 weeks or so ago, and they were extolling the virtues of their kind of local produce, as you would expect, and I'd gone in for a leg of lamb, and I thought, where'd you get your chicken from? I said, and he said, oh, a little farm not far from here, a little farm down from here. I said, well, I'll admit I'm in the poultry industry. I may just know the farmer. So, who is it? Oh, family farm, Soanes Poultry. I was like, really? In Wiltshire? Can't they get everywhere, right? Yeah. I didn't have the heart to say, I'm not sure that's as local, but it does go to show just how far the reach of Soanes Poultry happens to be.
Okay. Well, let's have a chat with Claire and find out more. I'm delighted to say that we are now joined by Claire Wright. Claire, you wear many hats, don't you? Or several hats, I suppose. You are the Managing Director of Clive Soanes Broilers, and you're also the Financial Director of Soanes Poultry. So welcome to the podcast.
Yes, thank you very much.
Soanes is a really special business, I suppose, in the poultry supply chain. There's not many businesses like Soanes is still going. Go back once upon a time, there probably would have been quite a few regional producers that are growing birds and processing themselves, but now you've very much got you've got lots of very big businesses, haven't you? And Soanes is special because it still manages to a relatively small turnover compared to some of the larger businesses, but make it work, produce a great product, and have a fantastic business. So just wondered, could you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be in the position that you're in at the moment?
Okay, yes. So I am a qualified chartered management accountant by trade, and I've always worked as an accountant, never worked in industry, although I do come from an agricultural background. Probably that's what threw me away from agriculture in the first place. And then as my career progressed, I realised that actually I might enjoy going back to agriculture, and a position was advertised at Soanes Poultry coming up 10 years ago now for a financial controller, and I applied for the position and got it. And it was really at that point that I thought I'd come home, and I really, really loved working at the factory. So I was there for quite a few years, and I was promoted up to finance director. And at that point, I'd not really had anything to do with Clive Soanes Broilers. I was trying to understand the factory. And I'd always had experience within factories, and that's what makes being an accountant for me interesting, because it's difficult, especially with live birds. It's not even like cans of beans that you can count for stock take, and the fact that they've got to come in on a Friday and be gone by they come in on a Monday and be gone by a Friday makes it really fast-paced and interesting. Clive Soanes Broilers had always run independently, really, to the factory, and there became an opportunity for me to go over and have a look at the financial side of Clive Soanes Broilers. So at that point I split my time 50-50 between the factory and the farm growing side, and over time there became an opportunity to become it was general manager of Clive Soanes Broilers, which I asked if I could take that on. And then I realised that actually I really enjoy that side. I enjoy going out on the farms, working with people. I enjoy seeing the birds coming in. I enjoy it all. And I became managing director of that in January 21.
And tell me a little bit about Clive Soanes Broilers and about the supply base that you've got. How many farms have you got, and what's your general programme?
Okay, so Clive Soanes Broilers has 5 farms which are owned, which covers 6 sites. So one site is split into 2. We have 2 contract growers that grow birds for us, and 1 farm independently owned but helped managed by us. Altogether, we have about 145,000 birds going through the factory every week, and we are really proud to be still independently and family owned. So it's Andrew Soanes that owns the business. He's busy on the arable side and also potatoes, but it is fully integrated. So Andrew comes in and mucks out for me, takes the litter away. We have contractors in that wash and disinfect, but then we have our own turnaround manager and maintenance manager who comes in, gets the sheds ready. We usually have about a 10-day turnaround altogether before the birds go back in. Our feed is brought in by one of Andrew's drivers, so we paid for the haulage that Andrew's driver brings in to us. We start thinning at about 30 days, and we still have sex birds, which I understand is probably
Slightly unusual. Does make you quite unusual these days, doesn't it? But and that's the whole programme, 100% is sexed, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do also have a higher welfare offering. So we've been running that quite a few years now, about 6-7 years that we've got 10,000 birds a week on a reduced stocking, which is your 30 kilos, which I know isn't reduced to everybody now. But because we don't supply supermarkets, whilst we don't stock up at 38, we have about 37, because we are finding the birds are just flying at the moment, and we need to try and make sure that animal welfare isn't compromised.
Could I just go back to the sexing? As I said, it used to be very commonplace across the sector. There's less and less of it going on. What particular benefits do you feel sexing your birds and rearing them separately? What advantages does it give you?
We have to be really careful with regards to our placements to get that right, because we offer to our customer base, from your pullets, which are at a live weight 1.9, right through to our cockerels at about 4 kilos. So that allows us to offer a full wide range of weights, whether they be whole birds, or we look at portioning the larger cockerels. And that customer base, we've worked with them, and we can be clever, we can be agile and change. For example, now we're wanting more birds through, or more breast, but when we get our big birds, we're now able to have our skilled butchers cut those breasts down into the same tear drop shape, and actually get 4 or 3, 4 manufactured, if you like, breasts out of one big one. And our customers are happy with that, and that allows us, to be a bit more nimble and produce more breasts out of those big birds.
And effectively, you sounds like you're working your hardest to produce more from less, aren't you? Which goes to the heart of some of the sustainability things that I know you're involved in. You've got various trials going on, haven't you? And you're looking at ways that the business can improve its sustainability credentials. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, well, I think if you don't look at what you can do to move forward, I think the industry is so fast moving altogether that if you don't do anything, you're going to go backward very quickly. So we're always looking at trials, whether it be through ammonia reduction in our sheds that we've put through. We've done bean trials in our feed, and that's really quite exciting. That's the biggest one, I would say, that we're looking at. And we would really like to get to a point where the results have been good, certainly promising, and we now need to make sure that it's affordable and sustainable, that those beans are able to be grown and used in the feed process, and that it's at a price point that's affordable for it to be implemented. That's probably one of the biggest points that our customers ask for, is soya use in our feed. And of course, when we've had our carbon footprint undertaken, feed is by far the biggest percentage, that we need to look at.
I have to say, I'm sat here, I'm learning a huge amount about your business, Claire. I know I've done some work for you on the very subject of carbon footprinting, but naively, I had no idea as just to how, how frankly small a business that you were, but how heavy or how high you're aiming, the work that you're doing across, whether it's sustainability or, the agility and the innovation that you're talking about for your customers. You're punching well above your weight as an organisation. I would say it's no wonder you're picking up awards left, right, and centre in your team for all sorts of different things. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. We are really proud of the birds that we produce and the quality of them all. So I know that Ben at the factory, so Ben is my colleague who heads up as MD at Soanes Poultry. is really proud of the Great Taste Awards that our birds and cuts portions, seem to get regularly awarded. And whilst Clive Soanes Broilers is only a really small team, there's only 9 of us altogether. I really want to pay tribute to my team and my farm managers and everybody who works really hard, to make sure that we produce those birds to the best of our ability.
You're being very, very self-effacing, but I'm certain I've seen your name shortlisted as well on National Women in Agriculture Awards lists or nominations. So it's the whole team, you included, that's delivering the success, I think.
Could you tell me a little bit more about your customers, Claire, and what sort of people you're supplying? Just give me a bit of an idea. I know you've got a strong identity as a business based in the Yorkshire Wolds, but how far afield do you sell your chicken?
Our chicken go nationwide, so up to the Scottish borders, but down into the southwest. We have regular lorry runs. I think it's nearly every day of the week down to London, supplying chicken down there. And our client base is really anything other than supermarkets. So it's high-end butchers, wholesalers. We supply frozen ready meals. We've recently gained Slimming World. So it is those people who look for the provenance of the chicken, and that's really important to us. So nothing travels more than 25 miles from farm up to the factory. That obviously has an impact on bird welfare and quality, we feel, as well.
And looking forward then, your business will be under pressures, won't they? As all poultry businesses are, but I'm sure there are some which you will feel acutely, and maybe more than others. I mean, we've got inflation that's clearly going on, haven't we, in terms of energy prices and fuel at the moment. How are you coping with that as a business at the moment?
Well, we're certainly not immune to them. Probably as a smaller producer, we're significantly impacted by them, but all you can do is just carry on through it, really. There's nothing else you can do, is there? We certainly haven't passed any price increases through to our customers at this point in time. I think we thought that the war and the impacts on that would have decreased by now, and it's of concern that it's carrying on. Certainly from the farm side, we're hit straight away on our gas prices. Feed, whilst I had some cover, I probably didn't foresee what was going to happen on the feed prices. So I can see that Andrew Soanes will be rubbing his hands that wheat's going up, and he'll be delighted on one hand, but when I'm buying it, it's put £10 a tonne on in the last week.
And in terms of the sort of longer term and your strategic focus at Soanes, how do you remain at the cutting edge, I suppose, and how do you weather the storms with some of these pressures? Because there are certain things, I guess, you've got to do quite differently to other larger businesses out there. So, yeah, how do you make it all work going forward?
We have to do more with less, really. So we have to be innovative, and we don't necessarily follow the trend with what everybody. So we don't necessarily follow the trend with what everybody else is doing. Hence, we've remained sexed, whilst the whole industry, it feels as if, has hatched. Those birds are coming out up to 42 days. We take ours up to 48. And I've already mentioned the fact that we're taking different cuts, different portions. We're signing up with more restaurants, coming out of the wholesale market, which is volatile and affected by price more, to be able to have those cuts with craftsmen, butchers, to be able to meet the demands of customer specs.
And I know you're based in Milton on the Wolds, aren't you? In the Yorkshire Wolds, lovely little village. How do you get on for labour in that part of the world? Because you need a few people in a factory, don't you?
We do. We have approximately 120, 130 staff employed, with approximately 30, 40 agency staff. By far the biggest pull from our staff is from Hull, and we're only about 20, 30 minutes from Hull. So whilst we always have some sort of staff turnover, COVID definitely affected us. We really struggled through COVID, but things seem to have settled down a bit now. And yes, we have staff coming and going on the factory side, but they seem to come and stay. I think the fact that we only operate on a 4-day working week is a big attraction, so that gives them Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Were we to move to a 5-day working week, I think we would struggle a bit more then.
Yeah, well, I think in all walks of life, people talk about work-life balance, aren't they? And I think that it's particularly challenging on farms because people quite often have to work 12 days on and 2 days off, or 6 days on and 1 day off, or sometimes the cover isn't there and you don't get a day off for a week or two. So it's a real problem that I've seen, and you have to think differently. And sometimes, as you say, doing more with less. If you're not processing or if you've got the opportunity not to process every day of the week, then actually long term it gives you a benefit, doesn't it, in that area in terms of being able to keep your staff on side?
Yes, we're just investing 2 million into the factory on upgrading all our refrigeration. So that's quite a capital commitment, because that's only where it starts. It's 2 million for the factory, but that allows it to become more efficient, which in effect means that it needs more birds. So we now need to either bring on more growers for us. We've got 2 new sheds going up on one of our sites, and we really need another site to be able to meet the demands of the factory.
So that's, just to clarify, that's increased the speed that you can cool the birds down after processing.
Yes.
Because for anyone that hasn't been around a chicken factory, there's always this part in the factory that I don't think anyone thinks of before they go round, but where you've got all the birds going round and very slowly being brought down to the right temperature, and some of the lines just go on for miles and miles and miles. But as you say, with every process there's a bottleneck, isn't there? And if you can identify that bottleneck and do something about it, then all of a sudden you can do a lot more.
Yes, we're hoping to have that finished in July.
Okay. Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you for coming and chatting to us today, Claire. It's been really, really interesting. Great to see your work at Soanes', and long may it continue.
Thank you very much for having me.
What's the word? Belittling is not the right word, but I mean that completely.
You mean
positively.
it sincerely?
Yeah, totally. It's just doing so much for a business that, as we now hear, is really very close knit operation, a very focused operation. The 4-day working week, when manpower is a limiting factor for many businesses, building your scale and your operation around best use of those hours that works for everybody is a different approach to many, but one that's evidently working.
Excellent. Well, let's look forward to another good guest next week, hopefully.
Yeah, you can do all the work again. Thank you so much for today. I've barely said a word, and hats off to you.
I know you are tired, so I'll let you off today.